Welcome to Scorched Earth and a general reading for the sign of Libra, Sun, Moon or Ascendant for the month of August 2025. I hope you're well. I'm using the Edmund de Lac Tarot for you today. Here it is. Before we begin, if the reading resonates with you and you would like to go a little bit deeper, there will be an extended that you can access at the end. You're looking for the link in the description box that takes you to Selfie. Or alternatively, you can come and join the Circle platform, which is my private community, and there you can get access to all of the extended content that I do for no extra cost beyond the membership fee, which includes all of the readings that I do every month for all of the signs. Also includes weekly energy readings and includes classes as well. So if that's something that might be of interest to you, you know what to do with that link. Right, Libra, I have to apologise if I'm looking a little bit sweaty. It's 27 degrees in this room and 36 degrees outside. And it doesn't matter how much I wipe my face, I keep looking shiny. So a bit of a heat wave going on at the moment. Anyway, let's have a look and see what's going on with you. Can I have 3 cards for Libra, please? Right, so we have the 3 of Cups in your recent past. Current energy for Libra. There we go. We have the 3 of Wands. And what's coming towards Libra, please, for August? What does Libra need to know? We have the Ace of Cups. That's lovely, actually. It's that spidery feeling again. Anywho, we've got the Queen of Wands. I feel like that's the King, actually. I love this deck. I absolutely adore this deck, but it's very highly detailed. And sometimes you can only tell the difference between the King and the Queen when you actually compare the crowns at the top. No, it is the Queen of Wands. All right, now that's an important distinction between the two. First thing to notice, we don't have any major arcana on the table. And honestly, in 2025, I feel like that's a bit of a relief. But that's not to say that we don't have things going on, because absolutely you do. I mean, the Queen of Wands as an underpinning energy is suggesting more of an internalized process that's going on. But we have got the 3 of Cups and we have got the 3 of Wands. And that Ace of Cups is going to see its expression outside of you somewhere. So let's get some clarifiers out and see where we're going with this. Can you tell me why the 3 of Cups is here, please, for Libra? Right, we've got the Hanged Man and the 5 of Wands. They came out in that order rather than the order I read it out in, which is very nice. Tell me about the 3 of Wands, please. Why is this here? We have Page of Swords. Goodness. We have the Emperor, we have Judgment, and we have the 6 of Swords going on. So quite a lot going on in your current energy. I'll tidy that up in a second. And what about the Ace of Cups, please? We have Justice. There you are, Libra. And we have Temperance. Now, what I'm not sure about, and I'd probably have to stop the video and go back and have a look, is which way round that came out. My instinct is to put it that way, to be honest. What do we have at the bottom of the deck? We have the Page of Cups. So we've got major arcana energy, but it's all happening beneath the surface, which I think is quite interesting, because it's, you know, everything that's beneath the surface in where you are, where you have been, where you are, and where you will be, has got major arcana energy. But what's appearing on the top is something altogether more serene, which I think is probably very nice. I don't think anybody's getting away without August being a transformational month of some sort or another, and certainly we're seeing some indication of that here. But on the whole, I think this looks really, really nice. So we've got double pages with the Page of Swords and the Page of Cups. So we know that there's some sort of initiatory movement that's going on, both in the emotional sphere, but also in terms of the way that you understand the world. You know, we've seen this rather surreal shift in consciousness that's kind of happened in front of us over the last couple of months, and it's still very much in progress. I don't think we can say, well, that's it, we're done now, we've arrived where we're at, because we know that there's a lot of instability moving forwards. Excuse me. But on the surface, at least, things seem to be manoeuvring in a way that isn't awful. Put it like that, Libra, right? So let's start over here. We've got the Three of Cups, Five of Wands, and the Hanged Man. Now, this is quite interesting because on some level, the Three of Cups and the Five of Wands are sitting at opposite ends of a spectrum, really. Both involve other people, but one is the emotional support that we give and we receive from other people, and the Five of Wands is about coming into conflict with people. And so it is possible, I feel more likely than not, that there is some level of conflict potentially that has been recently resolved with people. And these are people that are relatively close to you. I'm not talking about flaming each other on the internet for holding different political opinions and things like that. I mean, there's the Three of Cups indicates that there is a closer relationship here than that, but it's not necessarily you and your spouse or you and your parent or you and your child or something, you and your best friend, because that would be the Two of Cups there. What we've got is that kind of slightly wider circle where it's the family or the friendship group, or those couple of people at work that are really sound that you lean on sometimes and they lean on you sometimes. The Three of Cups is a giving. It's a giving system of reciprocity, to my mind. But the Five of Wands is a state of conflict, and where there's been disruptions that have been caused with a set of people that have been supportive to you, it feels like there's been a change of position, certainly a change of perspective. Now, Libra is known as a peace lover. You are the peace bringer to Aries, war bringer. And you understand the value of cohesive social relationships in a way that maybe Aries doesn't understand in quite the same, to the same level, to the same depth. And it feels like this has spurred you on for something, right? Well, maybe this is the thing that's caused this uplift in consciousness for you. Why do I say that? The Hangman is a card of surrender. It's a card of submission. It's not a card of surrendering for the sake of it, right? Just being I can't really be asked with this conflict, I'm just going to let it go. It's like, it's understanding that there's something more important at stake than what you were conflicted about. And so because of its association with wisdom and enlightenment and all these kind of things, it's not just keeping the peace. It's not being the mediator or the oil on troubled waters. It's something a little bit deeper than that. And the thing with the Five of Wands is we're never entirely sure if what we're looking at is some sort of war scene, or whether these are people who are, training themselves, sparring or something, right? What's happening here is something kind of good-natured. And so it's difficult to put a value judgment on what is happening in the Five of Wands, other than there is some sort of conflict, whether it's a good conflict or a bad conflict. I treat sparring like good conflict, like, because what we're doing is improving our skills, right? And it's a Saturn card, so there is that element of working at something, grinding at something to become better at it. I mean, what we could be seeing here is like a really superior form of conflict resolution that you've been engaged in, Libra, because it might well be that it isn't you who has come into conflict with other people, but you're the one that's ended it. That Five of Wands, that card that just tried to come out there, I'm absolutely certain was the Justice card. It was. There it is. All right, well, we're going to take it as you being the person who has who's taken a higher position on this and possibly has acted as a mediator, has seen the value in Sorry, I'm pausing here for a second because we've got an Aries card at the bottom of the deck, and it's the Emperor. And there's always a sense of taking charge when the Emperor's here. But I'm just mindful of the fact that I just spoke to, the fact that Aries doesn't quite understand the value of a socially cohesive group in the same way that Libra does. And I find it interesting then that an Aries card should have shown up. But I wonder if this is feeling more like you taking leadership within a social environment rather than just simply seeking the union and the harmony. Because of all the cards that could have shown up for you, Libra, this is the one that represents Libra. But it could have been the Lover's card, right? That's a card of union and harmony. But Libra's got this curious ability to be both Venusian in terms of comfort and, wanting everything to be nice and everybody wanting to feel good and all that sort of thing. But also being the sword of justice. And justice involves conflict resolution, right? Where justice is seen to be done. So between the Emperor and the Justice card, and now this Eight of Swords, that seems to indicate, people who couldn't see beyond the end of their nose if they tried. There seems to be a way in which you here have schooled people, maybe gently, but certainly with a firm hand, in recognising where their own blinkered mindset is the thing that's causing the conflict. It's like do no harm but take no shit sort of approach that you seem to be taking here. And I think it has been relatively successful, although one questions why it is that you needed to step in the first place. I don't know. Because I don't feel like this Eight of Swords belongs to you. I feel like it's an extension of what caused the conflict in the first place. It's like people not being able to see outside of their own particular box. And I guess the Venusian aspect of you would be the thing that would allow you to look for the common ground rather than the ways in which you are different. But why would this have been so important right now? That's the thing that's got me wondering, Libra. Don't get me wrong, it's a good skill to have, but it's really important for you to have experienced this right now, and I'm not quite sure why that is. What's this? Four of Swords, King of Pentacles. Well, hey, I think it is you being the balance. Which sounds like a kind of obvious thing to say, right? But with the kind of pile-up of energy that we've had in Aries and still have in Aries, actually, there could be I've forgotten the word that I'm looking for. It could be getting the scales out of whack, because what Aries does is impose their will on things, right? It is the sentence that we associate with Aries. It is I will. I will this to be done. And I'm thinking about the fact that Saturn is in Aries and Neptune is in Aries and everything else has been in Aries, right? It's almost like this side of the chart is almost getting a little bit too much of the I quality and not enough of the we quality. And from your position over the other side of the chart, it seems like you've kind of taken what is generally considered to be of Aries, and you've applied it to a situation delicately but fairly. And in some way you have elevated your own position, not in a kind of status-seeking way, but in being an authority kind of way. Now, whether this is to do with the family or what, I'm not entirely sure, but the presence of the King of Pentacles is certainly giving us a sense that you feel some kind of responsibility in this situation, right? If it's, I don't know if it's your friends that have been at war, or your, family members that have been at war, and you're kind of sitting in this place going, I can kind of see both sides here, but I think on balance it's a little bit more this than it is over there, and you've managed to put it in such a way that people are listening to you. Fuck, Libra, is this not close to what your reading was talking about people coming to you for advice and actually fucking listening to you? I think this is where this is going, because this Four of Swords, this balanced, just, fair, very calm, very meditative approach that you have to everything is actually yielding real world results. And you do seem to be becoming somewhat of a point of reference for people when they're trying to work out how to move through conflict. Now, if the Three of Cups wasn't there, I would say that this was internal conflict that people were battling with, and they were coming to you for advice about that. The fact that the Three of Cups is there means that it's excuse me, it's external, right? There's stuff going on externally, but that's not to say that the root of the disagreement and the root of the conflict isn't a combination of intense personal conflict battering up against somebody else's intense personal conflict. Sometimes we talk about how people's shadows just bounce off each other, and that can be quite destructive when nobody realizes that that's what's happening. Like, you seem to be holding a very firm line with people, but it's a very, very fair line, and you're getting an awful lot of respect for it, Libra. Very interesting. So when we move to your current energy, we have the Three of Wands, and this is indicating movement. It's indicating action, right? Again, it's Three of Wands. So, whatever happened in the Two of Wands, which is here by implication, because everything moves in a cycle, right? It's crossroads energy, and it's what direction are we going to take? The Three of Wands then is the movement that comes outside of you in this way. And what we've got here, interestingly, is Page of Swords, indicating a mental expansion, right? You starting to see the world very differently. An Emperor on its side, which feels like an authority that is here and can be drawn upon, but is not being wielded like a club. It's not, because sometimes the Emperor can be a little bit heavy-handed with things, but it's not that. It's like the authority is there, but it's not like you're, slapping everybody with it all the time. And then we have the Six of Swords and the Judgment card. Now, this is very, very interesting, because this Six of Swords is a movement away from implied Five of Swords energy, right? Which can be as conflict-ridden as the Five of Wands. But it's placing it in the head. And the fact that we've had the Eight of Swords there, and you yourself are carrying a sword, and you're looking to try, you're looking for the truth of any given situation. It's like, we talk about the Six of Swords as moving from troubled waters into calm. And you see that there, you see the choppy waters to the right of the boat. You feel to me like you are shepherding, Libra. Now, this is very interesting, because with the exception of a few signs, I've seen an orientation beginning to develop towards being of service. I'm seeing it, not seeing it with Leo. Leo's kind of doing what Leo does, right? Just kind of like internally imploding for a little bit. I'm not seeing it so much with Virgo at the moment, but the South Node is in their sign, and so they're busy also. But with a lot of the signs, like I said, it's kind of, it's taking this innate skill plus the wisdom that you have used to inform that skill. And now we're starting to see the ways in which different signs are being of service to others. Now, this may have absolutely nothing to do with what you do for a job or anything like that, but it's like these little small movements in the way that people are relating to each other. People perhaps that are the beneficiaries of the consciousness shift that we're in the middle of, but has very, very much started, is seeing now us a little less interested in the in the rather mundane aspects of life and starting to tune into what is the very, very important aspects of life, and helping people along in the discovery of these same things too. Now, this feeling of shepherding that I've got going on, I'm using that word specifically because it's a little less forceful than herding, needs a degree of authority. It needs a degree of familiarity. It needs a gentle hand, but it needs a firm hand. And that's the Justice card and the Emperor card showing up here. It feels like you're growing into a role of leadership, but it's happening so holistically that you're not even necessarily aware that it's happening. Shepherding people towards more peaceful spaces, more peaceful ways of being internally, and thus diffusing conflict before it has an opportunity to grow into something that needs to be met with any kind of force. Now, the Judgment card gets quite interesting because the Judgment card speaks to decisions that we make that affect our lives on a really quite a grand scale. It's choices, right? Or it's the act of making the choice that aligns us most with what we're here to do. Now, this way in which you feel to me like you are beginning to exercise service, it's coming from a very mindful place, but it is springing up holistically. Like the Queen of Wands kind of knows what she's doing, but she's not yet got the masculine activity of the King of Wands, right? It's still very soft, but it is Aries. And we've got the Emperor, who is, can be stern, but ultimately is in control. Now, you're controlling in the non-pejorative sense. Let's use shepherding because it's got fewer connotations. With a hand that is more akin to a Page of Cups than with an iron fist that would be much more emperor-like. And this seems to be changing things for you almost daily. Tell me about this Judgment card. Why is the Judgment card here? For Libra. Wow. Okay. Well, that was the Three of Swords that fell on the floor. But we also have the Strength card and the Nine of Pentacles and the Six of Pentacles too. Now, the Strength card represents a period of intense growth, right? It's personal development. It's how we are becoming bigger than the situations that we find ourselves within. And that would be entirely true for where you are right now, Libra, right? It's the soft hand, but my God, there's some fucking determination behind it. It's like you will not brook any bullshit. And you're certainly not allowing people to become divided and be at war with each other. There's something very vexatious about that for you. But where you might have engaged maybe in people-pleasing or something like that in the past, you seem to be facing things head-on and saying, oh, we're just not going to do it that way. Like, I'm going to listen to you, I'm going to understand you, I'm going to see where you're right, but I'm going to tell you where you're wrong, and I'm doing exactly the same for the other side as well. And there's, like I said, there's this kind of authority that seems to be emerging within you, where you are very focused on what you consider to be important. Like, I feel like the material world is losing some of its substance. I've been feeling this for actually quite a long time. But it's really kicked up a notch in the last couple of months. And so the sort of things that were concerning us pre-2025 seem considerably less important than they do now when we're looking at ways to bring people together. Now, this Three of Swords could be talking about pain that you have worked through so that you can allow yourself without resistance to step into this role. But I think more likely it's talking about pain that you understand. We're talking about an elevated position that you hold, Libra, where you can see how people's shadows are clattering off each other. And you've got a very gentle touch in terms of helping people be seen within that. Now, I don't know what you do, and I'm not suggesting for a second that all the Libras are doing, are doing some sort of esoteric work or even psychotherapy work or anything like that, right? But it feels like it's something that's developing into a superpower for you, Libra. It's just like you just seem to know the right thing to say at the right time. And more importantly, you see what is paining someone that is sitting behind the mask. And sometimes all that people need is recognition of the pain that they are in. They want to be seen. But sometimes they don't know how to ask for that. They don't even know sometimes that that's where this is coming from, particularly if it's shadow stuff, right? It's very deeply seated. And you seem to be drawing on this superpower and saying the right thing at the right time in the right way. And this is forging a kind of trust in you, Libra, that is elevating your position. Again, not because you're chasing status or anything like that. It's because it's the natural place for you to sit. So, again, saying you want things to be just, you want things to be fair, but you also want people to be comfortable, and you understand that that's not possible when people are pained. It's not possible when people are hurting. You also understand that people want to be seen and want to feel safe exposing the vulnerable parts of them. And everything about the way that you are, Libra, seems to be presenting that and giving people that safe space to do that in with you. And the corollary of this is that you just seem to be walking around diffusing all manner of tensions just by being you. This Nine of Pentacles is about where the attention is going, where the energy is going. And you seem to be able to point people to the idea of managing their own resources and managing their own attention and where their awareness should be and all this sort of thing. But followed up by the Six of Pentacles, it's bringing that very grounded emotional state to everybody around you. Do we have at the bottom of the deck here? We've got the Nine of Wands. I mean, maybe you're talking to people about boundaries. And if you are, if you are talking to people about boundaries, I feel like a lot of them will have never even heard of this concept before. But when you speak, people are listening. There is a gravitas to what you're saying. And you don't have to force anything. Like, we sometimes see the Strength card as that depiction of strength, but it's not the wolf as it is in this card, usually a lion, that is the depiction of strength. That's the wild side of us, right? The true strength is depicted by the maiden, who is exercising a soft power that is taming the wild beast. And you seem to be almost effortlessly taming the wild beast energy of everybody around you in a way that is helping everybody function together. What the fuck are you doing, Libra? This, like in the best possible way. This is really, really good. But like, how are you doing it? How are you doing it? Even that Six of Pentacles has got a set of scales in the back of the picture. Let me see it. Can you see that? Very interesting. And 6, at least from a numerological perspective, is a number of togetherness, of unity. 6 of Pentacles. When everybody's emotions are in a grounded state, everybody rubs along together in a much better way. This is fascinating. So, when we come into what August has got in store for you, I do feel like, first off, there's something kind of big happening here, right? Here you are in the upright again, being strong, being firm. But aside from that, we also have a sense of there being some benefit that you are receiving from being who you are. Now, at the point that I'm recording this, I can't tell you what has gone on in July, because it's not enough of July has gone on for me to be able to be aware of that, right? But I did make a video a few weeks ago and I said, like, I have been eyeballing July for quite a long time. months and months and months, as being a bit of a tipping point, a bit of a point where things change. And certainly the tail end of the year seems to be moving much faster than the beginning of the year, right? Even with the retrogrades that we'll have going on. But something about August is about processing what went down in July. Now, with this superpower that you just maybe have always had but are now exercising in a very deliberate way, there's something very helpful about that in terms of helping other people process what has just gone down, whatever that might be, right? I'll make it sound like it would be one big event, but actually it's probably just cumulative over the course of the year. But this tipping over from one half of the year into the other, and August is, you know, comfortably into the second half of the year rather than just in like July. Temperance reversed is a lack of balance. It's an immoderate approach to things, or an immoderate situation where things are unbalanced. But here you are, justice representing balance, being in the upright. It is also unhealed energy, which I think is really quite interesting, because then we have the Ace of Cups sitting over the top of it. Now, the Ace of Cups for me is about the relationship that we have with ourselves, and there would be no doubt in my mind at all that for you, being you feels a little bit better than it has done all year right now. It's like, no, I've got a decent relationship with myself. I've done a decent amount of work on myself. I know who I am. I know what I'm about. I know what I can do, which is this interesting superpower that seems to have emerged. But you're doing it in the face of a lot of unhealed energy. And I'm wondering if, whatever all of these cards are talking about here, this has been your gentle introduction to what you will be doing an awful lot more of in August. And to that end, then, I would not be surprised if Libras are telling me that they are, you know, going into training, or they have just completed training and going into practice of therapy, psychotherapy, counselling, even work like doulas and things like death doulas, I'm thinking particularly, right? Or some sort of situation where people begin to confront unhealed parts of themselves, and you seem to be overseeing it. You have this way of helping people get in touch with what that bit of them is. Tell me that Temperance card, please. Are you seeing that? Double Ace of Cups. Hanged Man. Justice. Again, Nine of Cups. Ooh. I'm getting goosebumps, Libra. Now that's the World card there. Now, you know, we can interpret the World card as the end of a cycle, right? It's a card of celebration. We have completed the cycle. We're about to ascend up to the next cycle and do our work up there, right? But it's a well done, you made it kind of energy. But I'm not sure that the shift is yours that I'm feeling here, because I feel like that's where you already are. But in the face of what is immoderate, intemperate, and unbalanced, definitely unhealed, we've got you bringing the Ace of Cups, the Hanged Man, Justice, and the Nine of Cups. Now, it can't possibly be that all Libras that I read for are moving into some sort of esoteric or healing modality. And yet, it seems to be what the cards are pointing towards, right? Whether you're doing this for a job, whether you're charging money for it, or this is something that you are just doing in your spare time, right? Just reading up on and kind of maybe practicing with, or something like that, right? There was a really interesting video that I saw on, I can't remember where it was, Instagram, I think it might have been. And there was an astrologer on there. He's wonderful. I love him. And he was talking about, well, the premise of the the short video was, which is the strongest zodiac sign? And he said, like, none of you will get it. It's unlikely that any of you will get it. But it's Libra, and this is why. And then he did, a wonderful, like, three minute or so video outlining why Libra was so very fucking strong. What was hilarious was reading the comments where there was just a bunch of outraged people that outraged that their sign wasn't nominated, and I'm rather embarrassed to say a lot of them were Leos. So probably about half of them were Leos, right? But after he'd explained everything, I almost sat and thought about it, right? But for example, the fact that Libra is the only zodiac sign that is represented by a machine, right? Libra absolutely represents the balancing of opposing forces, right? When you start to take all of these things into account, Libra couldn't be anything other than the strongest thing. When you then add in notions of truth and justice and all that kind of thing, I mean, it starts to make all sorts of sense. Libra is my 10th house, and I kind of vibed pretty hard with a lot of the things that you were saying, although I'd never really considered it in that light before. So to that end, even though it can't possibly be true that all Libras are becoming therapists or psychotherapists or counsellors or tarot readers or, conflict resolution specialists of any sort, whether you're doing it for employment or whether you are simply doing it as a response to what you see going on in your environment, you are doing it. And there seems to be something almost, I don't even know what the word is that I'm looking for here. It's kind of mystical, it's kind of otherworldly, it's kind of, I'll think of the word. Probably will save it for it'll come to me in the extended, right? But you seem to be spreading peace and harmony everywhere in the face of some very unhealed energy. You're facing it all with strength, but your primary concern is making sure that people understand that they don't have to be like that, because there's always suffering that's sitting underneath it. Now, the presence of the Ace of Cups and the presence of the Nine of Cups, not only together do they make 10 cups, but I mean, we've got 2 aces now, so that would be 11, right? You're showing people how to get in touch with the Ace of Cups so that they can more readily exercise some kind of authority over their 9 cups, right? They can manage their emotions a little better than they can. You're showing them how to look at things from an entirely different perspective. This is absolutely fascinating, and I would very much welcome you to tell me what's going on here. But no shit, this is looking like superpower level stuff. I don't know how else to read it. It's certainly leading by example, that much is clear. But there's a strong desire not to let anything rattle off the rails here. And the value of nipping it in the bud early and doing it in a way that is loving and compassionate and guiding, rather than with force and punitive action, is very heavily signified here. I think if you haven't thought about going into some sort of modality where you are helping people on the daily, maybe you ought to think about it, Libra. Maybe this is the turn, this is the change of direction. Because this Judgment card here is talking about life-changing shit going on, usually life-changing decisions that we make. And if you're allowing this to flow through you instead of trying to stem it, then I can see how this would change not only your life, but it would also change the lives of people around you too. Fascinating. Okay. I'm going to go to the extended now, and we're going to unpack a little bit of this stuff and see if I can get some of the answers that I'm feeling intensely curious about now. So if you would like to join me over there, you're very welcome to do so. You can do that on Selfie, you can do that on Circle. Please don't please don't join the channel memberships expecting the extended. Channel memberships is something entirely different. The extendeds are on Selfie and they're on Circle. I'd be delighted to see you wherever you choose to show up, to be honest. So if that sounds like it might be of interest to you, go check out those links below. If that's not your bag, that's fine. I'll just say you seem to be invested by something that's... There seems to be a bigger energy working through you, Libra, regardless of whether you do this for a job or not. And I like to see it. I like to see where this is going to go, because this is extraordinary. Right, anyway. Know that I love you all very, very much. And I'll see you soon.